An unusual storm blanketed the nation. Power outages, airports shutting down, planes crashing, uncertainty. The snow didn't creep in slow, it fell quick, accompanied by cryptic White House media posts describing another kind of storm. I'm reminded of the summer of love, 2020, and how we've come full circle. In Minneapolis, the 3rd Precinct station torched to the ground, flames licking high while crowds cheered or fled. In Kenosha, Kyle Rittenhouse, a kid caught in the crossfire, fired on attackers in self-defense, killing 2 and wounding 1 amid the chaos. Time passes. 2026. A Hilton hotel housing ICE agents looks like a scene out of a medieval siege. The crowd eventually dispersed as a Border Patrol agent with a shotgun in hand stood bleeding at the door. Terrorist agitators Renee Good and Alex Pretty f***ed around, endangering ICE agents. They found out. Their bodies now colder than the Minnesota weather. 5 years of this divide, pro-Trump forces on one side, demanding arrests and invocation of the Insurrection Act, while Soros-funded anti-Trump crowds counter, coordinating narratives with embedded journalists to paint a picture of lies. Signalgate shows the orchestration ties directly to state government officials and even some fake conservative operators. Born-again believers on one end and those rejecting the God of the Bible on the other. People like me, caught in the grind, want vindication for the stolen voices, freedom from the mandates that crush lives. Black pills go down easy now. For some, hope feels like a frayed rope. But this latest cycle of chaos feels different. In 2020, it was as if the universe had to unravel for a season. Too many lies baked into the fabric of reality, and the universe required a giant belch to expel the rot. That what was hidden could hide no longer, like an unspoken law of physics. And as the wheel turns, touching on eerily familiar events, our perception of the enemy's tricks and schemes have altered. Where we slumbered before, we have fresh revelation born of pain and sacrifice. The rigger's gallows were set up to accomplish a great godless reset, like Haman of old. Even now, Antifa cells dispersed throughout the country wait with bated breath to go to war with MAGA. The gallows they prepared will be their undoing. Yes, justice is coming, as sure as the sunrise. And my confidence is as sure as the laws of physics, because my faith is in the author of those laws. I open the Bible on my desk to John chapter 1. This is the antidote. Not some fleeting pep talk, but the unyielding truth that cuts through the fog. I read it slow. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. Treat this as true, as immovable as the law that pulls a stone to earth, or the constants that keep the cosmos from unraveling, and the uncertainty starts to lose its grip. This isn't just poetry. It's the foundation of reality, the blueprint for everything from the stars to the soul. And that's the topic for today. Future proves past. The Word holds God's perfect timing. Scripture spells it out clear. The Word is Christ, eternal and creator, as John lays bare. It echoes Genesis 1, where God spoke and light shattered the void. But here it's personal. The Logos stepping into the mess. Colossians chapter 1 builds on it. For by him all things were created, in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities, all things were created through him and for him. And he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. Science backs this sovereignty in ways that leave me breathless. The fine-tuning of the universe, those constants like strong nuclear force dialed to 1 part in 10 to the 40th power, if off by a whisper, no atoms, no chemistry, no life. This is a very large number, 1 followed by 40 zeros. Or the cosmological constant, precise to 10 to the 120th power, tweak it, and the universe either collapses or flies apart before stars form. Roger Penrose crunches the numbers on the Big Bang's low entropy start, odds of 1 in 10 to the power of 10 to the 123rd. This number is so immense that even writing out all its digits or giving it a systematic Illian name is impossible in practice. It's used in theoretical math, googology, the study of very large numbers. So what are we saying about the creation of the universe? It's not some random chance, not some multiverse dodge. This screams design, a lawgiver setting the stage so breath, water, and heart's beating become possible. His sovereignty woven into every quark, every galaxy's spin, as Psalm 19 declares. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the sky above proclaims his handiwork. The cross stands at the center of it all, a fixed point like a wormhole tearing through time itself, where the eternal crashed into the temporal, bending history around it. Sins of the past covered there. As Isaiah 53 prophesied, the suffering servant pierced for our transgressions. Hope for the future secured, as Revelation 21 promises a new heaven and earth where every tear is wiped away. Every moment before and after ties back to that hill. Old Testament shadows like the Passover lamb fulfilled in Christ's blood, new creation dawning in his resurrection. Remove Calvary's cross, and the fine-tuning becomes pointless. Atoms cease, hearts stop, creation decays into oblivion. But with it, confidence surges. Truth reveals itself the same way. It doesn't stay buried forever. Lies twist and coil, but they can't endure. Luke 12:2 promises, nothing is covered up that will not be revealed, or hidden that will not be known. Tested over time, like gravity in a lab or relativity confirmed by eclipses, in these uncertain days, riots unresolved, divides unhealed, mandates lingering in memory, truth surfaces slow but sure. Insight comes, not as wild guesses, but remembrance, direction, the quiet certainty that belongs to those who remain in him. Think on the scientific marvels that mirror this divine order. The human DNA code, a blueprint so intricate, 3 billion base pairs, folded into every cell, carrying instructions for life itself. Change one letter, and diseases ravage. Yet it's tuned for resilience, repair mechanisms kicking in like providence. Or quantum entanglement, particles linked across vast distances, defying space-time as we know it. Echoing God's omnipresence, where Psalm 139 asks, "Where shall I go from your spirit? Or where shall I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there." It is foolish to deny the math that says life should not be here. It is just as foolish to deny how the Word came to be. Well over 300 Old Testament prophecies were fulfilled in the person of Christ, predicted over the course of 1,500 years, 16 books, and 20 authors. None of those disparate threads across time could stop the Word from bending the cosmos to his divine purpose, to redeem creation. The above aren't happy accidents. They're signatures of the Word holding all things together. And just as force or mass can be expected to behave a certain way over time, I submit to you that lies being exposed or truth being made known is as fundamental to the universe's sustained existence as the observance of any other scientific law. And given what I've just stated, do you think the New World Order's progenitors, the human traffickers, the pedophiles, the vote stealers will escape God's notice? And I don't mean in the cosmic hereafter. I'm talking about the season we are in now. Think on God's chosen instruments. While the man remains imperfect, Trump's predictive power is truly prophetic, as if he grasped John 1's immutability. Here is a small sample. After triggering continuity of government in a White House briefing on April 7, 2020, he declared mail-in ballots very dangerous for this country because of cheaters.
They cheat, okay? People cheat. Mail ballots are a very dangerous thing for this country because they're cheaters.
By May 24, 2020, he posted on X that all mail voting would produce the greatest rigged election in history. From the start, Trump already knew what was about to occur. June 22nd brought his stark claim: millions of mail-in ballots will be printed by foreign countries. It will be the scandal of our times. At a Wisconsin rally on August 17th, he said plainly,
Because the only way we're going to lose this election is if the election is rigged. Remember that.
During his RNC acceptance speech on August 24th, he repeated the claim. September 24th saw him tell the press that Democrats were trying to rig this election because that's the only way they're going to win. Again, he knew what was about to transpire. Then on election night, November 4th, 2020, at 2:30 a.m., he addressed the nation from the White House.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
And on November 7th, after projections for Biden, he posted, "I won this election by a lot," and insisted this election is far from over. The black pillars can't see this was the plan from the start.
45, 46, and 47, if you think about it. I just don't want the credit for 46. They indict their political opponent, and what that does is it sets off a chain of events that's very dangerous in future years. It could happen to them very easily. The reason Crooked Joe and his thugs are trying so hard to stop me is that in my first term, I disrupted all of it. Oh, did I disrupt? That was called major disruption. And in my second term, which we're sort of having now, but I don't want the results, right?
They cry, why didn't he act back in 2020? I answer, because we, you, weren't awake. Trump's statements, delivered months before and in the heat of the moment, found echoes in later revelations.
We have spent millions of dollars in outside legal counsel to fight anybody from ever seeing the actual election materials, the actual ballots.
Stand with truth as Trump did, and it reveals itself. The Russia hoax debunked. Hunter's laptop real. The Epstein files dripping names. The drips become a flood. Emails discussing Bill Clinton raping men.
Nobody can dispute the fact that we need. Oh, yeah?
George Bush Sr. raping children. Podesta.
What is my name, huh? I'm just a kid who's 4. Each day I grow some more.
Spirit cooking. And women crying out about the unspeakable. Ignored for years, their torturers never thinking they would be caught. A wormhole from the past has opened, and the law of truth steps forward through a door marked Vindication. All that was required was to speak truth and trust that no matter how hard it was to wait, the truth would be made known. Proverbs 12:19 declares, "Truthful lips endure forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment." The constant through line here is truth. Some think such accurate forecasting and probable deltas defying mathematical possibilities hint at a mythical quantum computer being used, the legend of Project Looking Glass. Not to be confused with Operation Looking Glass, revived after a sighting of the Doomsday plane, January 2026, and E-4B touching down at LAX, the first time in decades, with Secretary Hegseth aboard. Operation Looking Glass existed to keep the nukes ready if the ground burned, a hat tip to a continuity of government scenario. But there were whispers of another looking glass. Not the planes, something deeper, hidden in the desert labs where men in white coats chase shadows. Project Looking Glass, they called it, in the dark corners of bars where old agents drank. A device to peer into time, futures branching like rivers after rain. Evidence? There was some. Not the machine itself, disavowed and buried, but pieces. Stargate, the CIA's remote viewers, minds reaching out to see what eyes couldn't. They predicted submarines, hostages, with hits that beat chance. Declassified now, yellowed papers and archives, though pop culture offerings like Stranger Things keeps the mystery alive. There are quantum computers at Sandia, entangling light to model what-ifs, futures unspooled in code. And there are war games at Rand, simulations of nukes and escalations, behaviors mapped like enemy terrain, enough to make a man wonder if the conspiracy was just the veil over truth. What's fact? What's fiction? I don't know. What I do know is that we are all capable of being time travelers if we avail ourselves of the indwelling Holy Spirit, the omniscient and ever-present person of the Trinity that can work outside of time and in it, providing revelation to believers where future proves past. I've come to learn that vindication follows truth like clockwork. I remember the shadows of 2020, when the accusations flew like bullets in a riot-torn street.
Do you use a Venezuelan company's software that's been used to steal election in other countries?
Absolutely not.
Can you flip votes in the computer system? Can you add votes that did not exist?
Absolutely not.
Can votes be switched, flipped, or shifted?
Absolutely. You never have to visit the state that it's in. In fact, you wouldn't even have to be in the country to have done it.
And pro-Trump voices like Joel Oltmans were branded liars for calling out Eric Coomer's alleged schemes to rig the vote through Dominion's back doors. Oltman faced lawsuits, smears, the weight of a system bent on silencing him, claiming he fabricated tales of Coomer boasting on an Antifa call about flipping the election. Back then, it was all obstacles, targeted attacks, foreign ties denied. But truth has a way of bending time, a wormhole punching through the years. Now, in January 2026, the FBI raids Fulton County's election hub on the 28th, seizing the very 2020 ballots shoved through Dominion machines amid whispers of fraud that echoed Oltman's warnings. DNI Tulsi Gabbard stood at the scene, her presence as head of the Office of the Director of National Intelligence commanding the spotlight. As DNI, she oversees 18 intelligence agencies, including the CIA, NSA, and military intelligence like the Defense Intelligence Agency, the linchpin for cases and prosecutions to erupt on multiple fronts, from civilian courts to potential military commissions that could expose the deepest layers of election interference and foreign collusion.
We know how vulnerable now our systems were. I know that. What the heck is she doing on the FBI serving a domestic warrant? Hackathon that took place last year where virtually every machine was broken into. You know, if this doesn't concern the heck out of every American, it sure as hell should. Because again, she's still been an election denier.
And we receive all kinds of information about the vulnerabilities to our national security. We are vulnerable in terms of foreign interference with our elections.
She's been excluded from most of the national security activities. And she's never been up here to brief, on Venezuela or Iran or...
The vindication cuts deeper, with Coomer's own admissions in the ongoing suit against Patrick Byrne, revealed in filings that contradict 5 years of stonewalling, contacts with foreigners from Serbia, China, Venezuela about Dominion source code, overseas dealings in outsiders in Denver offices, all while Coomer fights to bar questions on those nations. Emerald Robinson and Byrne exposed the ploy, claims of a staged physical altercation by Coomer's side to evade deposition.
Or I got this message that, hey, they're out here talking about how they need to get out of they can't go through with this deposition. The lawyer picks a fight with Peter in the hallway, and this lawyer charged in after him. And even then, I didn't quite get it. And the lawyer's sort of a big burly guy. I think he's got some cartel clients. He came dashing in and bumped out. I call it bumping up on Peter. But just as this happened, Coomer jumped into the room with his camera going, filming. This is assault. This is assault.
A desperate grab to halt the revelations. I have felt like a time traveler encountering all the players. Years ago, I stared down Fulton County's Chair Rob Pitts, a salamander-looking devil.
Folks, we know the election was stolen.
Well, I'm extremely concerned, and we're concerned, first of all, about the confiscation of the records that we were holding in our warehouse.
We know that you know the election was stolen.
The 2020 elections are over with. No matter what they're doing with the ballots, nothing's going to change.
Slavery. This is slavery.
I have no idea who has the records. I have no idea what they're doing with the records.
Shame on Fulton County. Oh, this is the hell of elections.
After voter rolls were demanded in Maricopa County, cartel lawyer and Secretary of State Adrian Fontes stated he was willing to go to jail.
I'm Adrian Fontes, Arizona Secretary of State, and I'm going to continue to fight against the Department of Justice and their ridiculous and illegal requests, and saying they will remove ICE officials from the state of Minnesota in exchange for the voter rolls and the sensitive data, which is the same type that I've been protecting here in Arizona.
I called him out in 2021 from the Cyber Symposium stage.
You need to understand something about drug trafficking organizations. They're regional. They're all over the country, but they're regional. But they usually answer to a cartel. But we have another type of trafficking organization. It's a vote trafficking organization. That's John Paulos. We've got Eric Coomer. We've got Adrian Fontes. We've got the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors.
Identified the cartel and confronted the vote traffickers to their face.
Have you been accused of treason?
Oh, yeah. Treason.
Hickman saw no evidence of fraud and said so when he voted to certify the election.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Mr. Hickman on the Maricopa Board of Supervisors, something curious happened with a farm that his family owns.
This is at Hickman's family farm in Arlington, that is west of Buckeye.
Yeah, those flames are enormous. At least 60 crews were brought in to get it under control.
Oh, the poor chickens. Or maybe there's something else in there. I don't know.
What, you got another chicken farm that needs burned down, Mr. Hickman?
What was buried in 2020 now surges forward, a thematic wormhole of truth connecting the past to this moment's clarity. Stand with truth and watch the light expose the dark, God's timing folding the timeline until justice stands plain. In these early days of 2026, amid the tensions flaring over ICE actions, voices from politicians and celebrities have edged toward calls for terrorism, framed as defending democracy. Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago urged a coordinated nationwide protest and real organized resistance against Trump. Actor Giancarlo Esposito declared it time for a revolution.
They can't take us all down. They'll kill 550 million, however, but the rest of us would survive with a new, this is time for a revolution.
Former President Barack Obama called on citizens, universities, and law firms to make uncomfortable sacrifices and to resist. A powder keg is about to blow. At least 12 cities ready to engage in willful insurrection. They doubt Trump has the fortitude to crush them. I say, never doubt the man that just extracted Maduro from his bed without suffering a single casualty. Delta Force wielding sonic weapons against Venezuela's military that was bracing for conflict. Hardened paramilitary terrorists eviscerated in the dark of night. What chance do you think a bunch of radicalized Karens from the suburbs and transvestites truly hold against our military? In this uncertainty, riots that scarred cities, divides that split families, mandates that stole normalcy, John 1 offers the immovable rock. The Word made flesh, full of grace and truth. Believe it as fact, and ramifications cascade. Sovereignty turning chaos to purpose. Romans 8 assures, for those who love God, all things work together for good. Scientific wonders affirm his handiwork. Trump's vindications remind us truth breaks through, slow but inevitable. Warnings on the rig, riots, and deep state are bearing fruit now, aligned with perfect timing. I close the Bible. My lamp casts long shadows in the room. The uncertainty presses outside, lingering doubts from divided sides. But inside, it no longer rules. The word holds. God's timing unfolds, as Habakkuk 2 states, "For still the vision awaits its appointed time. It hastens to the end. It will not lie. If it seems slow, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay." Truth wins, always. Stand with it and watch the revelations come. What do you think? Leave your comments below, and while you're at it, consider sponsoring the show for the cost of a couple cups of coffee each month. We push toward our goal of 1,000 small dollar donors to avoid ads, promo codes, so that even if you time travel ahead 6 months from now, this show will remain a quiet refuge from the storm. I'll be back as soon as inspiration strikes. Until then, God bless and good night.